It's the Traumedy Podcast. Trauma plus comedy equals Traumedy.
You're listening to Traumedy, the podcast that helps you take your pain and play with it. I'm Nancy Norton. I am a former nurse, comedian, and keynote speaker about the power of humor, why we need it, how it helps us. And this week we're going to do video, so you could also be a viewer. I'm going to try to do video. It's been kind of a dilemma about doing video on Traumedy because sometimes I feel it makes us too performative versus dropping in to our heart center. But I didn't have my podcast equipment with me. I've been touring all over the place, from Philadelphia to Anchorage to Homer, Alaska. This was recorded on my laptop in a house in Homer, Alaska. So the audio is not as crisp as it might be if we're right up against a microphone, but it turned out pretty good. There's a little muddy parts here and there, but I think you'll be able to figure out what we're talking about. Let me know if you have any questions. This guy, he is a pilot, he's a nurse, he's a poet, he's a writer, he's a storyteller, he's a boxer, and he was on the show Yukon Men, the reality show, and he's been through a lot of stuff.
Because I just love rivers. Plus I'm cheap. So if you go up river, you got to paddle and you got to pay for gas. If you go down river, you just grab a log and you go down, Yeah. And, if you're not worried about the future, you don't know how you're going to get back. But, the Yukon, still to this day, I was just there a week ago. The Yukon is so powerful. There's so much library. And it's just this movie. If you stay on shore, the people come to you, they go by, it's alive. Yeah. It's so alive. And if you look at my buddies, Stanley, Charlie, Alex, it was 50 years ago, we were all up there just winging it. Yeah. Stanley, the main character, Charlie Campbell, it saved us. I really believe it saved us from something, I don't know what, but it saved me, and I still go back to it. Nature is healing.
The Traumedy Podcast is sponsored by Crybaby Badass. You have to feel it to heal it. You are a Crybaby Badass luminary. See your light in the mirror. Do you have a trauma? Hey, you listening, do you have a Traumedy story to share? If so, send Nancy a message at nancynorton.tv. That's nancynorton.tv. TV, as in television.
If you're a regular listener to Traumedy, and I've tried to upload every week, but I've been traveling so much that I got behind, and I apologize. I think we've been off 2 to 3 weeks, so hang in there. We're going to find our rhythm again, but my definite goal is to at least to upload at least one episode a month, and hopefully more, depending on how much I'm traveling. And I'm learning I can record things with Zoom, so I'm going to work on that. And thanks again for being a regular listener, and share with a friend who might need to know they're not alone or just to hear a funny story. Okay. Peace and love. See you on the other side. Okay. Okay. Welcome to Traumedy. This is here we are coming to you almost live from Homer, Alaska. My guest this week, I have been hearing the most incredible stories of my life. I want to tell you. This is a storyteller, a writer, a nurse, a pilot, a mountain man, and much, much more. Welcome, Mike McCann, everybody. Mike McCann. I'm going to clap because I'm excited.
I'm going to clap because I'm here.
Yeah, you're alive.
I'm glad to be here.
Dude, you are on borrowed time in so many ways. We've been talking this morning for a couple of hours. And I just keep saying, I feel like I wish I had been recording all morning, but
Hit replay.
One of the things I just, as a launching place, is to say was something that, with Traumedy in mind, that your mom used to say. Would you mind sharing that out of the gate?
Oh, she would sing 2 songs to me at night. How can I miss you if you don't go away? And hit the road, Jack. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, no, her saying was, cry till you laugh and laugh till you cry, because the rest is just filler.
Wow. And you took that to heart, man.
It took a while to soak in, because I thought she was just a little crazy, laughing and when things would get really bad, But we lived in the projects, and she said, I learned how to laugh.
Dude, you I mean, the stories you've been telling me, I don't know where to start. Where do we start? Like, you write these short stories and you've written books.
I should have drank more and got into the Bible, but I didn't. And so I did other things, you know, and I love stories. As kids, we would sit at the end of the row and the stories were unbelievable. I mean, I'm talking 7, 8 years old, these 9, 10-year-old kids, you know, they talk about taking camp counselors hostage and stealing Cadillacs. And I'm like, damn. So one night I came home and I'm like, Mom, I hope someday I have a story. And she goes, oh, you'll have a story. So when I had my first story, I think we stole a tugboat or we did something crazy. I was like, I can't tell everybody, but you got to hear the story. So anyway, it's been going on ever since. And stories are powerful, you know. And hearing stories is, you know, so be able to share them and pass them on. There's nothing like nothing like a good story. And that's what's been keeping us going for millions of years is passing on the stories,
Yeah.
whether it's about dinosaurs or roadblocks or, you know, I mean, there's nothing like a good story.
And you identify as Irish. Is that true? Are you an
Now I
Irish?
do. I thought I was French. I thought I was French Canadian because we'd stay up there with them dark people, you know, dark hair, and there was dark. And my Irish relatives were all a little fair down on Long Island. And so when I went to Ireland and my relatives were darker than I was in Ireland, I went, whoa. And then they gave me an Irish passport. So now I'm Irish. I like the French Canadian part, but I'm Irish.
Is that so they call that Black Irish? Is that what they call it?
Actually, the Spanish ships crashed up on the coast, and there were 17 of them, and that's where the rhythm came. You know, Enya and her gang were all Black Irish. That whole coast is dark, and the music and the humor and the rhythm, because the Vikings didn't have a lot of rhythm, and the Celts they had rhythm, but nothing like the Spanish.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And
that's my theory.
gosh, I mean, so I'm here doing the Alaska World Arts Festival, and there you were at this thing. I didn't know who you were. I mean, I'm just
I'm
like,
still trying to figure that out.
but I mean, I'm so honored that you were at a show that I was doing, and then I'm like, holy cow! After the show, you're telling some of these stories, and there's a million of them, and you've traveled internationally. You said didn't you work with Enya or something like that?
Enya was just a little girl when we met her. Her dad was a buddy of mine, so that was cool. But you were funny. I mean, I thrive. That's medicine. We didn't get serious professional comedians in Homer very often. I risked my life. I don't know if you noticed, but my plane wasn't running too good, and I went through the mountains and got beat up, and then I came down the coast, and I go, I got to get to the show. And luckily, you were a day later than I thought, so I had a little reprieve, and I could rest up and take it in. Because keeping up with you is not easy, you know, and you're all over the place. So it was great. It was good. It was yeah.
And you're on a show called, what is it, Yukon Man?
That was years ago. We were on Yukon, man, me and Stanley. Stanley's a buddy of mine. He's from Dorchester, and I'm from Long Island. And we go way back. I mean, he's a character. Watch Yukon Man with Stanley.
Okay.
I'm only on a few episodes, but we have a good time. I was just there last week with him. We have a good time.
This is so wild to me. Did I mention that you're a nurse? Did I even mention that? Like you're a Yukon man and a nurse
I'm a sensitive
and
man.
a poet. Yeah, you are sensitive.
I'm here's definition of a true Alaskan: over diversified and totally unemployable. So that's me. I do this that day and the next, whatever. But that's why we're here. This is the end of the gangplank.
Yeah.
No, Alaska. If you're ADD, you need to come to Alaska. You can do everything.
Yeah, I was thinking that this does feel like, I don't know, and it's again. I know this does not compute exactly, but I had a crazy Uncle George who lived on Isla Morada Key, and it sort of reminds me of these black sheep that go to the ends of the
fringe
earth.
dwellers.
What did you call them?
Fringe dwellers. We're on the fringe. No, really.
Range dwellers.
The end of the gangplank. Fringe. We're on the fringe. Fringe dwellers. No, that's just yeah. No, it's great.
You
Everybody.
have such a great turn of phrase on these things. Fringe dwellers.
Fringe dwellers. Yep. Yep.
Could you just tell me the places you've lived? Because I was like, wait, you grew up in the projects, then somehow you're out taking peyote on the plains in.
It's hard to hit a moving target. That's my theory. Because I used to get hit a lot, so I started moving when I was young. I was born in Jersey, and we moved to New England with the Pilgrims. It was a little quiet up there. And so we moved back to Brooklyn because we were on our way to Alaska with my mom. My dad was building a nuclear reactor, and he forgot to send the tickets because he liked quiet, and he must have found. Anyway, he stayed up here. We were in the projects. And so then.
So he left your family.
Yeah. He was gone for many years. But I always say he liked the quiet, because he ended up in Antarctica or whatever. But it was good because we ended up in the Spinney Hill projects, which is golden. When I look back, it's golden. But from there, I always say, I go to Beirut to relax. I mean, it got a little rough, at times, but not real bad. When the guns showed up and the craziness in the late 60s, then it was like rough. But so I hitchhiked out west. I heard about California and I didn't know it was that far. It's a long ways.
Yeah.
I thought you crossed the Hudson and the Delaware and then, Chicago's here and then California. It was a week later and I'm driving to Bonneville at 15, can't see, but going 150 or 115. And I pull into Beverly Hills and that was cool.
So
I was looking for the Beverly Hillbillies though, because I've been watching them.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Get the fancy pot passers.
Oh yeah, no, I was looking for what's her name? Ellie Mae.
Yeah. What's her name?
Ellie. Ellie.
You know who we're talking about.
The double barrel over the shoulder boulder holder. No, that was Ellie. She invented that. But anyway.
I'm like, do you like this framing? There you go.
Yeah.
Now that's better, isn't it?
I've been framed many times, but this
we set up a nice background that you can't see. We blurred it, so it's a mystery. It's a nun costume.
My outfits, yeah.
Your outfits.
Multiple personalities.
Well, I think so. Listen. Maybe I shouldn't have blurred the background, but there is a nun costume back there, and you have to know this guy. This guy had some
issues.
Well, some nun.
Yeah. And it wasn't just boys' life. I signed up for issues. There's some fun ones.
In this lifetime.
Oh, yeah. No.
No, but the way that you roll with it, you're like, yeah. And you said, I don't like the word molested, but
Yeah.
I mean, nuns were touching your private.
Well, that was young ones. They weren't really nuns yet. They were practicing. And then they'd break off once in a while. They were frisky nuns. Those French nuns. No, the French nuns are frisky. No. Ave Maria, she used to teach me, Ave Maria, gee, it's good to see you. I learned Latin on a different angle with the nuns. But what it was we'd go up there because my great aunt, my grandmother's sister had a convent, all these French nuns down from Quebec because that was BC before cables or condoms or something. Anyway, they had all these kids and they send the girls to Scranton, to New London. Anyway, I have fond memories of getting fondled. No, but it was.
But see, this is traumedy. This is
traumedy. But I didn't know. I'm like, what? What's going on here? But
I love what you told me earlier too. That you like, okay, I went back at 12, and I'm like, where are they now?
I didn't understand that game before, but I'm catching up. No.
But I like how you have this nun costume, and you said you did some prank nuns on the run or something.
Oh yeah.
And I thought, that's perfectly way of like kind of reframing it, reclaiming your power, like become the nun.
Yeah, no, we had great nuns. We had Sisters of No Mercy and Unlimited Guilt and Ammunition and Persecution. And looking back, they cared. Some of them cared a little too much. But, and I'm still in touch. I had some of the nuns I work with in Peru. I mean, we have so much fond memories because they dedicate their life. And when you meet a nun that really walks her talk,
the real nuns.
No, they're unbelievable. Sister Theodora, Sister Ancilla, they're unbelievable. And
so there are good nuns, and then there are some.
Now there's some nuns that are a little confused, like everybody else, But you got to be grateful for the good ones and the bad ones, not the bad ones, the rough ones. They're still. We talk about getting beat, way back, not really bad, but some of them go rough. When they twist your ears different directions, that gets uncomfortable, and and they smack you. One of them could take out a pigeon with a geography book at 30 yards. That's a tough nun. Anyway, she's still alive. Sorry, Daniel Merrick.
I feel like the word nunchuck is in there.
Oh, they were nunchuckers. Yeah. But I'm like, Gary, duck. And he ducks and it takes out James Conley and he's laying there. And she right away, the good Lord must have directed that. No guilt at all. Boom. Anyway, but that's our life.
Yeah.
Then we go to public school where you can mouth off, threaten your teachers, do all this shit, bring guns to school. We were lucky.
Yeah.
It was a little bit, it was a little pain going on. And so, I had defect in
appropriate touching, but other than
a little bit, smacking, that's another form of love, and the brothers, they were a little, we do the best we can.
If I were to find, like, what is the name of you have more than one book?
One's called Give Me the Hudson or the Yukon, because I love the Hudson River, because we could steal all kinds of shit and go up the river and look at, and then the Yukon where there's nothing, it's just peace. I didn't know there was ever a river still like that.
Yeah.
They drugged me to West Point to play lacrosse. I looked up, my mother's like, well, what do you think? I go, I ain't coming here. This is like Catholic school. They're all marching around doing this. I seen that river and I was like, I'll jump in that river. I'll be home tomorrow. You leave me here. That ain't happening.
Yeah.
I didn't want to march around in a uniform. I didn't make a good Boy Scout. I sure in hell ain't going to make a good, whatever you call them, cadets or. But anyway, rivers. Rivers are it, because if you really study rivers, whether it's Yellowstone, they're everywhere. And if you really get into them, they keep the planet. The rivers are the planet. And so the Amazon, all these amazing rivers, you get in them, it's free. You get in a slideshow, you didn't have to. I go down to Yellowstone. I go down these rivers as a kid.
I do love floating a river.
Yeah, no, rivers are
I don't need the rapids as much, but
No.
I love.
That roughs you up, and get you
I
focused.
don't need that much adrenaline.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, I don't. You
Rivers,
do.
if you
do
study
some-
rivers.
yeah, you do some really
I'm
high
scared
risk
to
stuff.
death. No, I'm scared to death.
But they show you. They show you.
Yeah,
Is
but
that what
rivers,
you're
if you
saying?
really compare it to our system, the Yukon is amazing. The history's amazing. The Hudson's amazing. The Hudson River, the Connecticut River, the Yellowstone, the Missouri, the Mississippi. If you really, there's river nuts. I mean, I met them
Yeah.
in Futalefu, in Zambezi, or whatever, Zambia. These people, that's all they do. And I go, I guess I'm one of them because I just love rivers. Plus I'm cheap. So if you go upriver, you got to paddle and you got to pay for gas. If you go downriver, you just grab a log and you go down,
Yeah.
And, if you're not worried about the future, you don't know how you're going to get back. But, the Yukon, I still to this day, I was just there a week ago. The Yukon is so powerful. There's so much life. And it's just this movie. If you stay on shore, the people come to you, they go by, it's alive.
Yeah.
It's so alive. And if you look at my buddies, Stanley, Charlie, Alex, it was 50 years ago, we were all up there just winging it.
Yeah.
Stanley, the main character, Charlie Campbell, it saved us. I really believe it saved us from something, I don't know what, but it saved me. And I still go back to it. I have a little camp with Irish flag and people come and stay and you get one
So
airplane a day.
I don't know the geography that well. So you're on the Yukon River, but it's called the Yukon. And can you help me understand?
Yeah.
I could look at
Yukon River
I'll
comes
show a
from
map.
Yukon, Canada.
Okay.
It's 2,000 miles long.
Okay.
People say Yukon. That's the Yukon territories.
Yeah.
That's where the river starts. But it goes all the way down to the Bering Sea. And it was big during the gold rush. There were no roads here, so everybody came down the Yukon
It
River.
was the way
Everybody, hundreds of thousands in '98, and then all these people lived there. The villagers from way back, the Athabascans, the Inuit, the da da da. No, it's powerful. It's just powerful, but it's so, nature is healing. Okay,
Yeah.
So if you can get out there, I don't care where it is. I used to hide in the parks, or the estates in New York. I hide even in the street drains. I thought that was natural. Things flowing down, rats running around. That's nature, but it's healing.
Yeah.
Very rarely will nature kill you.
Wow, interesting. So
it may, but yeah, it will take care of you. I mean, when you find out that the fish are coming this way, and you can eat these beautiful, and then the logs are coming that way, you can build your house, and the moose are coming this way. Like the best I ever lived. I'm eating caviar, right? My chickens were eating caviar. And I'm like, I didn't even know what caviar was. I was like, you can't beat this. And all my buddies came up, high school teachers, everybody. And I felt so lucky to share that with them because it was so, so it was just.
They were just drawn to what you were doing?
Well, the fish and the being together and then all the characters. Characters attract characters, right?
Yes.
And joy is contagious. Mm-hmm. When you get around a bunch of joyful characters, you may you may think, I'm in the Sound of Music, and you may be,
That just gave me kind of
Oh, yeah. No,
joyful characters. And I interrupted your process earlier, and I just want to go back to it because my ADHD takes off. Yeah. But you were going to show me kind of your places you've lived, and then we can immerse in all.
Well, we can go to.
But I don't know. I was just curious because I was like, how did you get? So you drove out to California. I
drove this guy's Bonneville, but no.
You were driving his car. That's what you said. You hitchhiked, and then you were. How old were you when that?
15.
So 15.
Yeah,
and you left.
In my neighborhood, that was old. If you lived to 15, you were an old man.
Dude,
no.
Some of the stories you told me about running home.
Oh no.
People chasing you, fighting, and you're also a boxer.
Well,
I mean, you're
not by choice. They volunteered me. No. Anyway, it's good stories.
Yeah, but I don't know. Do you not? I just was really quickly like. Then we can. I would love to drop in.
Let me give you this.
Okay, here it is.
Rand McNally's acid version of. Hitchhiked to California, find out it's a little different than I expected, but it was cool. And then came back through Montana, heading to Alaska, but I had to get back to school. My mother was freaking out. You're in Washington. That's 2 hours. I go, no, Mom. Look on the map. Washington's 3,000 miles. Get your ass back here. Anyway, so I headed home because I had to go back to school. But I wanted to come to Alaska because I heard about it and it seemed cool. But anyway, I'm coming through Montana and people were so great picking me up and all this stuff. And I was working for food at Yellowstone, cutting wood. Anyway, came back through Canada, went up with the French Canadians for a little while. That was interesting because I didn't know what they were saying, but they seemed happy. And so that was good. Then I stopped to see my grandmother. And this is all within like 10 days time, right? But I find this raccoon that got run over on the highway outside of Massachusetts. And as a kid, we couldn't have animals, so I really was like, oh man. And I'd read that book Rascal with the raccoon, which is golden. So I said, oh, raccoon. But anyway, he was kind of banged up, but I got him going again, and then we hitchhiked into New York with the raccoon. And so the raccoon and me show up, and it was crazy. But the raccoon, he really gave me some focus, and I could take care of him. He's had an eye on a string and a broken hip, and so there holds Danny stories in my book. But I had a thing for raccoons because they're little thieves. They got little hands like an old guy. They'll pick your locks. They'll do stuff, and they're just tripped, and to have one, my own Danny, even though he'd bite my friends and shit, but he was good to me. Anyway, Danny, people still mention Danny in New York. I didn't think it was that big a deal. Rascal John Sterling wrote the book about Rascal. I'm thinking everybody needs a raccoon pet, right?
And you named him Danny.
Danny boy. And, something like, yeah. But anyway, Danny's got famous, and then I let him go on a big estate. And he only had one eye, so you could see him at night pretty easy. We know the feeling.
Yeah, you and I both.
We go.
We have eye issues.
Yeah,
I don't know.
right. We keep
Mike.
an eye on the guy in the back there. See him? I'm watching him.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, that's what you do when you're a trauma survivor. You
Yeah,
gotta,
yes, you
you
gotta
gotta
make
keep
them-
an eye out for people.
Exactly. And bear spray helps too. I got a little bear spray here in case I don't see him in time. But anyway, no, so the traveling thing, you get the bug. And once you realize, I come back to New York, I'm going to finish school. And all of a sudden I'm like, wow, and education is important. I started doing like focused, because I'd already been out west. I've been to Beverly Hills. Nobody's going to tell me none. I've been to Colorado up there, rented a horse, rode around like the Lone Ranger or somebody. But anyway, I'm like, wow, this is a big country. There's a lot. You could live in a cave. You don't have to go to Wall Street and make all this money and marry some beauty queen. You don't have to do this crap. No, but it was like a secret I had. And I tell my buddies, no, you can go in caves out there in Colorado. You can ride a horse for $1 an hour. I was like, wow, this is a big world. So nobody was going to tell me different at 15,
Yeah,
which was a gift. My mother, she was so worried. She was so crazy because, and she'd pray all the time and light candles. But she said, you just came back different. I said, Mom, I had no choice, But anyway.
So you had a rite of, it was like your, what is that? The rite of
The
passage.
division. The natives send their kids on
Did you do peyote when
Not then. No, I wish I had. No. I didn't do much. I did a little booze, but not really. No, I was excited. I got that. When you look back and you see New York skyline and there ain't nothing, it's like, wow, man. It's exciting. And the characters, what you realize when you hitchhike is people want to tell you their story.
Yeah.
And if they don't know you and they're never going to see you again, they tell you some stuff, man.
Yeah.
I mean, they open up and I'm like, I'm 15 years old. I ain't no psychiatrist. I don't know who you should marry, but they want to tell you.
Yeah, they want to process.
Oh, no. I got picked up by some beauty queen in Colorado. So she was on some calendar or something. And I'm like, wow. And I'm thinking, is this? And she's telling me her problems. I'm like, you don't look like you have no problems. But anyway, it was fun because I remember I tried my best to write my book about hitchhiking around
Yes.
the U.S. from a 15-year-old perspective, but I would cover up on a lot of things where I didn't want to say too much, And so now I'm opening up again about some of the crazy stuff. And but it was the 60s. There was so much going on. I was into Banger Canyon, and I wasn't into the weed. I like shit that speeds you up, And so I liked things that got you going, and so that was my thing. So anyway.
But you're more high on life, it seems like.
Well, I was, but
I
it's
mean,
a job,
I don't want to be cliche,
I got
but-
back home, and we had a big house. Everything was cool, man. My mom was the happiest she ever was. Andrew was living with us. David had just been killed in a stolen car. Then it all went to shit. My mother dies. My mother bleeds out. Andrew's killed in Vietnam. I mean, whoa, Mary Ellen's murdered. Florrie's murdered on the way to my mother's funeral. I'm like, whoa. It's like, man, if I hadn't had that background of like life is pretty, amazing, and if I was just stuck in that little, I think it would have been overwhelming, and I'd have probably drank myself to death because that's the only thing I knew at that place for pain, and it was so there, But my cure was to go to the track and run 21 miles till I fell over, because if I didn't do that, I knew I'd go after. My uncle wanted to put me in cuffs when my mother died, because I was getting off this plane, and he said, you're not going after the doctor. You're not going. And I was 19. And he said, we got the cuffs. We're going to put you in cuffs. You got 3 sisters. It was rough, And so I just handcuffs to keep me from going after anybody. But he said, you're not going. You got a mother to bury and 3 sisters. I went, whoa, I guess I got a job. Anyway, that
So
was
he was wanting to shackle you here. He wanted
no
to
at the airport. He wanted me. He said, and he was great.
I'm sorry, I'm not getting it.
No, Uncle Tony was great. He just was worried about me because he knew my answer to everything was grab him,
Oh, I
and
got
shake
you.
him.
I got
And he's
you.
like, you ain't going after the doctor. You're not going after Monsignor.
Oh, the people that
Yeah,
kiss the
he was
death. I'm a
worried
little
about me.
slow on
Yeah,
this.
but
I'm
I didn't.
sorry.
He
Yeah.
didn't know I'd quit drinking like a year before. Because when I drink, I like to fight, or I like anything, action. So I was lucky. I was really. It's always this like almost off the edge, and then and then you find another path, or like I say, the angels show up. Well, who are the angels? In our neighborhood, or up, when my mother died, the angels showed up. They brought food. They were worried. They were the poor people, the
Yeah.
Bucks, Joey Devereaux. These people took care of us. And you're like, wow, people you just, not the rich people, not the ones counting their golf clubs and shit. This was,
Yeah.
food. This was food,
This was like,
and
yeah.
food is pretty important.
Yeah.
Don't get me, yeah, the food thing is interesting. But then, I get to Montana. I go back to school. The raccoon got me into college, by the way. That's a great story. So
Danny got you into
Danny
college.
got me into college, and I was like, damn, you don't know who your angels are. No, what happened was,
So Danny saved you in a way.
oh no, he's yeah, big time. So you never know. If you see a raccoon banged up on the road, pick him up. He might get you into school. You never know. But the funniest part was people say, how'd that happen? I said, no. Everybody was like, wow, he's good with animals. He rescues the raccoons and, banged up. We had ducks drunk flying around my house because they were banged up. And Mom would give them a little whiskey. That was a cure for everything. Drunk duck in your house ain't pretty. Let me tell you, shitting all over, flying. Anyway, Canadian geese honking. I don't know why she thought we had to take care of them Canadian geese. But
This is real.
oh yeah, you can't make that shit
This
up.
is real.
No, man.
She would take
I'd
you.
bring him home and she'd go, just give him a little nip. She had an eyedropper and we had some cheap whiskey, and the poor duck would be there. And then he'd be like, fuck it. I got one wing. I'm good. I'm good. And all around the house. And then they shit while they're flying. That's a mess. But anyway.
But seriously, you rescued her animals.
Well, she was that way too. Mom would rescue
There's
stuff.
just a part.
Well, there was a
It's
part.
like the whole culture was that way. Like
No, no, a lot of people ate them. If they could get my raccoon, they'd eat that raccoon, but they didn't get them. But we had a park, and it was a really neat park, but there were ducks and geese and stuff. And so it was for the rich kids to come over, or the maids would bring the kids and walk around this park. So we'd get banged up animals. And so it was my mother, she had a heart of gold. Yeah, yeah. But
Well, and you had the same heart. You were like, I gotta take it.
curious, and plus when people say, oh, he's good with that, then you kind of buy into the program. I guess I'm good with animals, but the animal thing, because you can't have animals in the projects, it's a big thing. My sister had a dog with 3 legs, 1 eye, and 1 ear, right? So they come home with tripod, and my mother's like, well, we're not supposed to have animals, but maybe half a dog's okay. Yeah, maybe
Was she
half
funny?
Oh, my mom was a killer. Yeah, but those old black gals got her going. They would come up with the craziest stuff. Read the story where we blow up this Kotex machine up in the nice neighborhood, and then we wear this shit all down the street, and the old lady's like, that's cool. You look like Disney Channel. My mom was like, what the hell? I said, oh, Burton would go in the girls' room and blow them off the wall at the train station. I didn't do that because I'd go in the guys' room, blow those things up. But Burton liked them Kotex, big ones, the mini pads, they're the big ones you could strap around, look like a veteran, look like a patriot. So anyway, so Danny, the problem with Danny the coon was after he got better and I let him go, it took a while. The teachers would use that, like, you need to go work with animals. I'm like, so Dr. Goddard, who was this neat old guy, he called. He said, where do you want to go to school? I said, well, I got rejected by all these state schools. I didn't have grades. I didn't take it serious. So he said, when you went out west, where would you go? I said, well, Montana was amazing, man. The Indians, all this stuff, mountains. Let me call. He calls out to Montana State. Yeah, I have this kid back here, and he's really good with animals. So he calls this Dean Belding, who's in missions. And the dean's like, well, how's his grades? Well, he's so good. He has a raccoon. Yeah, but how's his grades? Anyway, Dr. Goddard was covering for me. Finally, the guy let me in. And it's all because of the raccoon, because Dr. Goddard.
Just because you really walk the talk with it.
Well, he was like, you need to go to Fish and Game. I didn't know. I didn't want to be a vet. You got to go to school too long and learn all this stuff. So I went to Fish and Wildlife. But, I didn't care how many kinds of ducks there were. There's puddle ducks and this duck. I said, but the neat thing was that first year was just, I thought I was going to Vietnam. So it was a joke. I'm going to school. I'd pay people to take my exams, $10 to do this because I wanted to look good on paper. But I couldn't freaking do geometry and chemistry. I mean, that wasn't me. My thing was, fight, fix, or whatever, but not study your chemistry tables. Who the hell? I didn't plan to live that long. I don't need all that shit. You know, these people want to live forever.
You really thought you were going to Vietnam, and
I figured I'd go to Vietnam. That was top of the
would,
list. And then I figured nobody I know lives past 25 around here, you know, so what the hell? What do you think? I mean, you're not from that neighborhood. You're from this neighborhood.
yeah.
And we die young, you know? Or if you really study it, it's there, you know, like a lot of people are wore out. But I didn't give myself the privilege of, you know, but those were gifts that were given to me. These teachers that stood by me, Dr. Goddard, Olga Jenkins, Naomi Smith, they believed in something.
Yeah,
I think the creativity, see, not the intelligence. No, this guy's a bonehead. He will do whatever it takes. If you need new tires, he'll get you new tires. Dr. Goddard used to say, we didn't pay for anything today. I go, Doc, I got good credit. You know, I'd take him out for lunch or whatever, but I knew everybody, you know. Money it wasn't mandatory. You know, if you had good credit or you stuck up for somebody or stole some food for them.
Well, I like what you're saying. Right? Like they saw in you not just, I mean, creativity, of course, and then, but I mean, just talking to you for whatever it was, your synapses fire so fast. You know, you are able to access so much.
Well, this is a big hit. I got an outward head. It's like a block. Man. Yeah, no, there's stuff in the back. I haven't used it in years.
Yeah, save that for the last decade of your life. The occipital lobe. See what's back there. I don't know. Yeah, but it's amazing. So they saw this in you. They saw like, look at this kid. He's bright. He's capable. He's creative. He's compassionate. You know, compassion. You have.
He likes to fight, but he'll, after he knocks you down, he'll help you up. I don't know.
You fight, but it sounded like too. You were telling me earlier that you fight for a reason. You protect your sister. You protect your mother. You know what I mean? Like. Or somebody else that's more marginalized. I'm imagining that you protect the vulnerable, right?
You talk about triggers, you know, and you go, wow, I don't like the way this guy's treating this lady, you know. And that was a real thing of mine because my dad was a bully bastard, but he was scared to come around, you know. I mean, them young Polish kids let him know right away my mother was safe. So yeah, no, it comes down to a lot of those early things, you know, that and you gotta, it doesn't come easy because you gotta, you gotta know what the hell you believe in, but then you gotta stick to it. It's easy to say, well, I believe in Rice Krispies, you know, but really? Why are you eating granola then?
Yeah. So when it comes down to it, like, what are you?
Pretty cut and dried,
What are you? Yeah.
But you never know how you're going to react. Sometimes I've reacted where I'm like, wow. And that's that blink thing, which I love, which is at 2.5 seconds. You know, this Gladwell book.
No, I don't know.
Oh man, Gladwell. No, this is the real deal.
God, that's the thing with blurry stuff.
Oh, there you go.
I tricked it. Yeah.
It's kink, not blink, because you're backwards. Yeah, but he's
the
golden.
Power of thinking without thinking.
He is safe.
So it's like trusting the midbrain, or
no,
what is it?
His thing is you've already been conditioned. You'll go in on the other side and justify and magnify and all this shit. But the reality is you've already made a call. And in America, especially now in great white Western America, you know, we're so programmed. You know, you see somebody of a different color or whatever, ooh, you know. And I grew up with that where I would react because that's what you do. And then you'd apologize for it or justify it. And I'm like, no, I don't need to. I made the call. I see this guy coming. I know who he is.
Okay.
You know, but you also got to be wrong. It's not even instant.
Okay.
It's like the first sample he uses is that poor kid checking for his keys that gets shot 29 times in the Bronx, D'Elio or whatever. I called the cops that I know. I said, what the hell? They shouldn't have been in the neighborhood. These guys panicked. And that's what you get with a lot of these cops. They panic. They're not thinking and they react.
Yeah.
And I react. I mean, you got to be careful, but blink is golden. Blink is gold. But it also helps you, you know, you talk about that neuroplasticity.
Yeah.
Well, you also got neuroconcrete in some sides, you know, where you're just set, you know.
Like my eye. Like I've tried to reprogram my eye with the neuroplasticity and it's like not having it. So maybe some part of me knows it needs to be out there.
No, it needs.
Let it be.
Leave
it alone.
Me, you know, if you're perfect, you know, you don't want to be perfect. You got to have something, you know. You're like,
oh, that's right. It's a nice target.
Yeah,
like,
no, you got up there. I go, oh no, not another gorgeous comedian. Oh Jesus, what are we gonna have to listen to about? Anyway, no. But then you do the eye thing, and I'm like, oh no, we're good.
And you're a pilot, and
I can't see. Yeah.
Because didn't you say what you had to have your
license a bat? No. I told this kid, help me read the radio here. You can't see that. I go, is that 3.5 or 2.5? What's on the runway? You can't see that? I go, that's why you're there. Help me land the plane. Oh, I'm scared shitless up there.
You have to fly with this thing.
Yeah. No, I go by feel.
And
noise. Part by ear.
Yeah, part by sound. That's what you're there, get out.
Yeah. Now the eye thing is interesting. And Yeah, and as a pilot, it's scary because I do finally I have good glasses and I can see. Now, that's another gift. The whole flying thing. I get choked up so much flying by Mount McKinley going, how the hell? How the hell? I'm flying all over the world, Africa, down in Argentina. I'm going, oh, I just had a wish that I could get in a plane someday. I didn't mean to stay in the plane. I'm flying the coolest shit.
That's what you're saying. Watch what you pray for.
Watch it.
You're a manifester.
Yeah,
So
no. Oh, be
put it out
careful.
there, it's going to happen.
Oh, be careful.
Yeah.
Be careful. Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
I can't imagine. I mean, right now, I mean, you're still what's going on like in your sight right now? You were saying earlier, I loved what you said because I was talking about my son in my basement at 21, and you were saying something like if the mouth is moving, you can't see. It was like trying to help him have a vision. Like he does have a vision, actually. He is going to study, to be an EMT, and he is doing that right now. But we'll see. So you're saying
drop him off at the fire station.
Okay. And just
the day they're having a class.
Yeah.
He'll love it. And don't talk about it at all. You know where the class is. You drop him off and he either stays or plays or it's gone.
Yeah.
But that's
stop talking about it. Do it. But what you were saying, but
it takes the power away. The Indians used to tell me, all that talk is smoke.
Yeah.
And it goes and it's good, but you lose the power.
I've noticed that in my life too. I'm like, I'm going to, but, and then it's like, I haven't written the memoir, and I have some stories to tell.
Yeah, sure.
But I'm just saying I haven't done it because I keep talking about it. So I got to start talking about
it. It makes you feel good, but the reality is it's smoke. And if you look at it like smoke, and you go, I always compare, this is bad, but I said, it's like sex. You want to talk about it before or afterwards? It's real. It's theory, and then it's fact. Let's talk about the facts. And they're like, what was that? Oh, that was good. That's all you got to say. That was wild. Yeah. But no, that was, that was horrible.
Dude,
it's that basic. Yeah.
It's so funny because I've been even saying this on stage a lot. Like, I love talking about sex because I'm not having any. It's as close as I get.
It's just,
as close as I get.
Yeah, but here's what I tell. This is bad. Speaking about sex, and you can edit this, but this woman's like laughing her ass off. I said, you realize that laughter is just a mini orgasm. And you've been like, for the last hour, you've been coming like the freaking second coming, like Christ, they ain't got nothing on you. And she's like, that's horrible. I go, is it that bad? You look like you're having fun. Relax, honey. Anyway, but it's true. No.
I do think that way too. It's a shared, and it's fun to have a shared orgasm, right?
Yeah, 50-50 on orgasm. What the hell? That's fair, right? Like, you didn't wait for me. I'm like, bullshit. I ain't got jumper cables with me. Sorry, honey. No. Anyway, no.
Well, and
there's some funny shit.
It's the blessing of, I will say, I'm, like I've told you earlier, I was not happy with the female body at first because of the patriarchy.
Yours or somebody else's?
Yeah, my own.
Oh,
I was just
happy with the other ones.
When I was a kid, I wanted to be a boy because I was like, the boys had,
I know, yeah.
They had the good toys and they could climb trees, and I wanted to be a boy. And then it's like you become a woman and you're like, oh, but I can have multiple orgasms.
You can have.
You know what? Yeah, well, I don't. I can't.
No, but I mean,
I can't because my body was like.
I mean, you guys designed for it.
I'm just saying. A lot of women can, not me.
No,
I had
miscarriages. You can have a baby. You can
miscarriages. I had
but as a mother, you can have a baby.
But I just wanted to focus on the multiple orgasms because it's like, I make 78 cents on the dollar. You can keep your 22 cents.
Right.
I mean, you can't buy this kind of bliss.
No.
You have a refractory period.
But you do have to sit down to pee. That was the trade-off.
There's always trade-offs.
When God was handing them out, he goes, well, would you rather stand up and pee or have multiples? And the idiot that he was talking to, I want to pee out the window. And it's like, you fucking idiot.
Thank you for your service. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? You came into this lifetime as a male, and you've stepped up, dude. And I thank you for all the on behalf of the females.
Well, it's been
that you have either protected or pleasured. You know what? Hey, thank you.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm known as kind of. Here's the thing: being raised by a woman, I always say, because my mother at night we'd sit there and we'd talk about dreams. You could have feelings, okay, and that was okay. And so with my dad, you couldn't have feelings. Oh, you're just selfish. So feelings were like,
yeah.
And then I married a woman where you couldn't talk about feelings. And I was like, whoa, even some of these females.
There are some definite walled off females.
But it's because of certain things,
Traumas.
And so so you go, ooh. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I cuss, I go, man, Mom let us, at night we talk about our dreams. We're living in the projects, talking about living in the mountains in Idaho or in Alaska with deer and stuff. And she loved talking these stories. But it happened. One day I woke up in Montana a couple of years ago. I go, Mom, this is what we were talking about.
Yeah.
But she made it okay. But I've been accused. My ex told me one time, she goes, all you think about is your feelings, your feelings, your feelings. So I want to do this cartoon, and I shouldn't say I want to because I should have. A lot of families have feeling extinguishers in their house instead of fire extinguishers.
Yes.
So when
This
you
is
have a
great.
feeling where, like, if I said, oh man, I'm so excited, you couldn't do that. Anything to do with feelings. And if you got alcohol involved, that's really good because that really controls things. If you got the alcoholic, the kids can't have feelings. And then they'll be demoted, you know. They're not demoted, they're condemned.
Yeah.
So when I went, whoa, man, and I said, we got to talk about feelings. How do you feel? If I want to put her on a defense, not even defense, just shut her down and say, how do you feel about this? Don't mention feelings. So I realized it's not just us guys who are trained to not, be hard asses. I can get choked up over a story about my raccoon.
Yeah.
I can get choked up. That's a gift that my mother gave me.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
And you'll see guys, I call them a weepathon. We all weep, and so it was about my son, and these guys were sitting there, and I said, man, they go, and they started, and all of a sudden I realized we're all weeping because we all got kids and we're all worried about our kids. And they knew my kid and they were like, that's not fair. And these guys that, yanked out of a tree by a grizzly bear, I'm like, it was okay. It was all okay, and by me cutting loose, that made it okay. No, we can weep. Weeping feels good. If you don't weep, be careful. It's going to come out some other way.
That's it.
But this male-female thing will wear you out because we trade roles. I mean, if we could do whatever. I mean, I think you got to watch it, but you got to.
I appreciate what you're saying because you're not you don't subscribe to gender roles.
No, that's why I have my prison outfit.
Okay.
And my nun outfit, just so I can.
Got to get it for you. I know because I blurred this background, but maybe I should have left it.
No.
Well, let's see if this will.
Into the miracle mode. Sisters of No Mercy. I like that.
Sisters of No Mercy.
Unlimited guilt and ammunition. That's it.
And then
And this is where I should be. This is my full-time uniform. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go.
This is like
I carry that with me.
Now what was it, Uncle Anthony that wanted to put you in cuffs? What was it?
Oh, and Uncle Tony. Yeah.
Uncle Tony. Okay.
Uncle Tony.
Hey, I'm not doing this right.
Yeah,
I don't know. This stupid software. It's annoying. Let me see.
Hey.
But anyway.
So yeah,
right.
depending on the mood, if you want to fight or whatever.
Yeah.
Or you want to get to, you got to do it all. You know what I tell these kids? They'll say, I got a kid in Argentina I'm kind of encouraging. He's like, well, I'm going to do it. I said, look, you're too smart. Go there, do it all,
Yeah.
Go to school. I mean, you could do so much. Go off and do that. You don't have to sign up. You don't have to promise anybody you're going to be an accountant or a ballet dancer. Just
start.
Go do it.
Just start.
And then when your heart feels good and you say, I'm in the right place, you don't have to make sense of it. You have to feel it. If you feel welcome or comfortable, you don't have to say, I go places where I'm supposed to be comfortable, but I'm not. Something's wrong.
Yeah.
And I go, okay, how do you feel about this? Something's up, And
love
nowadays
So
it's really awkward. Not awkward. It's really real. Get away from anything that you're like, ooh, something's up here, because there's a lot of something up.
That's right. That's Shakti Gawain she wrote a book called Living in the Light. And the one thing that just sticks with me so much is choose that which makes your heart feel lighter. And I thought, man, whenever you're in a dilemma, you can just get bogged down in that left hemisphere we were talking about, analyzing pros and cons lists.
Right.
But man, trust your body knows. Like if you get excited in a way that's like not addictive excited, but almost like delight, like
joy.
expansive.
The Power of Awe. AWE.
That's another book you told me about.
Oh, powerful,
I gotta read
powerful.
that.
Dasher, Dasher Keltner. Really good. And his YouTube talks are great.
Okay, The Power of Awe.
Power of Awe. But you realize the minute you read it, you go, yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
I come by McKinley the other day flying, and I'm thinking, and it's rougher. I'm thinking the wings are going to come off. I'm like, but where? I mean, this is, and I'm in that state. Yesterday, we flew down from the Nilchik, and I was like looking at the rivers, I go, I mean, what, it's just so powerful, and it's so medicine. And then I have so many good people here in this town, mainly because I was a nurse at the hospital for 30 years, that I'm comfortable, and I weave my way through the town to be with the people I'm comfortable with.
You're the healer, huh?
No, I'm trying to survive. No, I hope I make them laugh. I don't know why they laugh at my stupid stuff. That's the funny part, and that's the mystery.
You don't know why you're so funny?
No,
You're
because
so funny all the time. Everything you say is funny.
It seems to be, but I'm thinking, no, I know.
You have a whimsy.
I got funny people, man, and when I call them, they know I'm desperate. When Richie the Italian tells me Italian jokes, Mike, I'm feeling sorry for you. You know why everybody's called Tony in New York? Because when they get on a boat in Naples, they got to sign to New York. That's how it happens. I'm like, oh, there you go. Now it makes sense. But and oh God, my black friends from Philly and down south, they know they kill me, man. They kill me.
So you phone a friend when you're having a bad mental health day. You're like, I need somebody that can make me laugh because it must take a lot to make you laugh because you are so funny.
Yeah, but I'm hard, man. You made me laugh, and it don't happen because I study humor,
dude.
I watch it, and there's certain people that I'm like, wow. And writers, I read, Gary Polson, W.P. Kinsella. I'm like, whoa. I hope I can do that. But I have people write to me and say, you made me cry. I go, what? When you started that motor in the bedroom and it jumped around the house? I'm like, that's all it took. You need help.
That's in one of your short stories.
Yeah. And one guy, he says, my kid's in there dying. I'm like, what? He says, you got to read this story. And they're so simple.
This is in the book,
give me the Hudson. I'll get you a copy. I thought I had some here. They're all over there.
Go get mine.
I read them. One day, like when things were really bad a couple of years ago, I'm like, did I write that? Oh, I must have been in another. Anyway, no, it's all in fun. So, but backing up, the funniest.
Yeah, part, I wanted to. Okay, yeah.
So I end up in Montana at school. It's okay, it's beautiful, that whole thing, but I'm missing my gang, when you grow up in a gang, that's your brothers and your sisters. So I'm like, oh, I'm so privileged. I'm out here in school. I go to these ranches. I mean, back then I was drinking, so I was at a radio station. I caused a lot of trouble just because I was so bored. And so then they wanted to throw me out all the time. But anyway, I said, I'm going to go see the world. This is for kids that like to think and read and go to the library and act smart. I don't have that problem. So I sell 25 calculus books back to the bookstore. I invented recycling. I used to get them from I bring them out around the back and sell them back to them, and they would buy them back, and I'd get money for a ticket. Plus, I was washing dishes. But I invented recycling, and I never left the building, so I didn't steal them. But they thought I did, and so they threw me out of school eventually. But I got back in, one more chance. But I get to Europe, and I'm like, I'm gonna go to India. I'm gonna go do all this because I already did the U.S. Now it's time for me to see the world. So I get over there, and I'm fucking starving. I'm selling my blood in Portugal. I'm forging rail passes. All these other kids got credit cards. I didn't know what a credit card was. So I'm really, after a couple months of trying to get by, it was tough. But I went to amazing places. I wanted to go live with the Laplanders in Lapland because they all dressed in weird clothes and lived in little big cupcakes and take musk ox around. I go, that's cool. Anyway, I get up there. They're all drinking in the train station. So I hung out with them. And I'm like, that didn't go too good. I'll head back to Spain with Franco and the gang. Anyway, it was all over the place. But then I go, remember how beautiful those Jewish girls were growing up? And they were just so frisky. I'm going to a kibbutz. So I worked my way down. But I'd stop in Portugal and sell a pint of blood for $60. That's a lot of money, Except one day I sold so much blood that I passed out in the movie theater watching Woody Allen in Portuguese do Sleepers. And I remember 3 days of that. I was like, Jesus, I got to do something different. So anyway, I got over and I was in Italy. And I was hitchhiking around, but I was sick. I'd really gotten sick, whatever.
You depleted yourself.
I depleted. I sold all my blood, and I go, oh, this ain't good. But one time in Portugal, when I'm laying there, and this big nurse is there, and she's like squeezing me. There wasn't much blood left, but they're valuable to them. And so, anyway, she gave me some spinach and sent me down to the Woody Allen video. But I remember going, maybe I need an education, after a couple of months of starving. And I go, maybe I better go back to school. I jump on this train back to Bodø, Norway, because I like Norway and everybody's tall and beautiful and they don't say much. And Swedish, same thing. They don't talk much, but they look good. But I'm like, I get a letter. My mother's like, you've been suspended she goes, I'm pen pals with Mr. Belding out in Montana. You've been suspended indefinitely. I'm like, oh no, I got the boot. I'm like, no, this can't be bad timing. So I get down there, fly to New York on my return. Lucky I hadn't sold that. Go to St. Patrick's Day Parade, hitchhike to Montana. Monday morning, I'm in there with Dean Belding. And he's like, you're done. I go, Dean, you wouldn't believe it. I was in Norway. I was selling my blood. That's okay. You go do whatever. He's a real tough Marine guy. Good guy, though.
Yeah.
No, you're done. I said, why? Why would you throw me out after all this? You sold 28 calculus books back to the bookstore last November. I said, Dean, that's my favorite subject. He's like, no, you're done. I made up some story about some guy. He said, no, just get out of here. I said, Dean, I promise you, one more chance, please. You won't hear about me, see me, nothing, man. I'm not drinking. I won't stir up any trouble.
You're
I
motivated
learned to
now.
read. I got glasses now. I can see the damn book. One more chance. Anyway, he calls me in months later. Something's going on here. Are you still paying people to take your test? I go, no. He says, look at this. How did you do this? It was after a quarter. I said, I learned to read and I quit drinking. And he goes, this is right up there with a miracle. I said, yeah, you bet it is. Anyway, I was on the dean's list for months after that.
Wow.
Yeah, so.
Because you were motivated.
And he gave me a chance.
And he gave you a chance, but also like you were like, hey, I got to be able to buy food.
I want to survive.
Yeah. You really.
And by then, my mother was still alive. So after she died, then the rules changed. Then it was like, you got to figure out how to do whatever. But no, it was a gift. It's always, you got to look at the gifts. And a lot of times the gifts are rough.
Yeah.
But when you survive it.
We talk about those post-traumatic gifts, man.
Yeah.
But you have like, you're not risk averse. You know what I mean? You have stepped into a lot of adventures, quote, like you have just.
I have a low threshold for boredom, though, but that can be risky too, because, you're riding freight trains or jumping around or, it's a little. Coming from the projects was good because it was lively. And I know what lively can be. You're either music's on, something's going on, or you're making each other laugh or cry. Yeah. Something's going on.
Yeah.
It's when, and a little downtime's not bad. We all got a balance.
Yeah, so how do you do that when you're that's probably when you're writing. You go into the stillness to write?
Nature. If I hide out in the woods or go somewhere, people don't realize I spend a lot of time by myself. And so.
And you can land and ground.
So. Yeah, and I don't like the word pray, but I think it's a form of prayer. And I think when you get into being with the Plains Indians for a while, they helped me, like all those rituals. Yeah. The pipe ritual is really heavy duty.
Is that the peyote? Or?
No, that's the pipe if you read Black Elk Speaks. And what it does is, it seems, it takes a while to get in that zone. But if you're praying with a bunch of old people and they keep, bringing up really, good things and thank you, you go into the zone and it's a comfortable place to be because it's a zone. It's the sacred. Once you enter the sacred, we're all distracted with all this stuff.
Yeah.
And to get to the sacred in New York, I go into St. Pat's and sit in the front aisle there and just. As a kid, I went there and I go to churches. I've been in all these churches in Europe and I light candles. I didn't, I was averse to that for a long time, but I go, no. And the only thing I can compare that to when I took some peyote meetings in Lame Deer down in Montana, we'd go all night. We'd get up, have this meal, have this ritual of thanking everything in the four directions, the four colors of the food. And then we'd go to the Catholic Church at St. Labrie Mission. And we'd sit in the front row and there'd be a whole bunch of us. Because there'd be a few meetings and nobody ever talked. And we'd be there. And I said to Marie Sanchez, why are we going to Catholic Church after all? She goes, the ritual, the power of the ritual is sacred. And when you're paying respects to Christ or whoever, that's powerful. And so I went, wow. But the funniest part was the priest would get up there, Father Michel, and there was another one, and he'd condemn the peyote eaters, Oh. And I know people have been up all night and we had this, and he'd go on and we'd be like, whoa, this is funny. But they didn't pay any attention. They just liked the ritual because you're paying respects. If you raise your hands and do, there's all this, this is taking thousands of years.
Yeah.
But the funniest part, 10 years later, I go down, I have a friend of mine, Angie, the Eskimo gal. We go to a peyote meeting in Montana, invited by old friends. Father Michel is sitting next to me, the priest that condemned it. So I go, Father, I thought you condemned last time I was here. He goes, well, if you can't beat him, join him. He liked the peyote meetings because he got it, finally.
Finally, he probably got the medicine, right?
Right. Well, he realized these people are serious. They're praying. We don't have to condemn them, but they're crazy. But for me personally, what it was I went, whoa, this is powerful. How do you survive? I didn't even think of it as how do you survive? I'm trying to survive. And I'm intrigued by this and attracted to it. And then it comes my turn to come. I wanted to go northern Canada. I was invited by this old Chief Smallboy, a Cree. My grandmother was part Cree. So I was intrigued by the Cree language and all this. So on the way up there, these Cheyenne people are saying, please take this pipe with you. They put me through this ritual. I don't even like talking about it because it was so powerful and scary. Right. And powerful. And I was, what's the word? It wasn't that I was unworthy. I was scared and it was too much. It was like, whoa. But they knew
maybe not ready.
Yeah, that's what I felt. But they
You
were
did not feel ready.
no,
They
I
knew
was
you
like,
were,
whoa,
but they
because when
knew
you're in
you.
that environment,
They
you
sensed
know,
something
they
in
were
you.
like, oh, take it to. So I did. I took the pipe up to Chief Smallboy and then out to Maxim Augier and all these guys out on Tall Creek. But it was like, whoa, how did I get into this? You know, I mean, it's a couple of years. By then, it was a couple of years after my mother died. Now, by then, I got my nursing degree, and I wanted to work with natives. These people share amazing stuff. They're in the now. They're hungry. They survived genocide. I'm like, I can learn from these people, and they're so good-hearted. They're so open. They give you everything. And this is the Blackfeet, the Cheyenne, the Sioux, the Assiniboine, the Flatheads. I didn't associate with a lot of white people because it was the same old, you know, my car, my payments, my this, my that. You get so bored with that redundant capitalist monologue of me, my. With the natives, they'll tell you a story.
Yeah.
They'll tell you some rough stories, but then they'll tell you the good stories where, you know, things happen and the angels come. You know, these people survived. I still to this day, you know,
Yeah.
I lived with the Eskimos up there in Cayenne and all that. I'm still blown away by how they get by.
Yeah.
And Eskimos, that's a whole nother world, you know. But to be part of that,
And the humor that they use, like I interviewed one of my friends, he's Native American. He's
Yeah.
just like the funniest people
Oh,
he
yeah.
knows. And isn't that true though? Like the funniest people I know in my life have been through the worst stuff. And it is that post-traumatic gift or something. I always think that humor is a language of higher power of some sort. Like it's just almost like it's a frequency thing. Like
it's everything. Drugs, it releases all this,
yeah,
but all that
the
uptight
medicine.
part of your brain where you're calculating and analyzing and dramatizing, it gives it a break.
Yeah.
And you go, I'm here now, and I'm
It does
laughing.
get you in the present
Oh,
moment.
I
Yeah.
laughed till I cried with them Puerto Ricans on the Upper East Side. I'm like, I can't catch my breath. You know, you guys are too fast, and then you don't have time to respond.
Somebody's fast for you?
Oh no,
That's crazy. I can't
no,
even imagine.
no, they killed me. But it's therapy, and you know, we're finally. I think. Well, you would what you call it? No, trauma.
Traumedy?
Traumedy. But
Yeah.
you know, just humor and medicine in the hospitals. I got written up a lot for screwing around too much.
Yes, I did
Oh,
too. I did
oh,
too.
oh,
Yeah.
I was always in trouble. You can't
but
just.
you know you were being of service.
I was ahead of time, and I
Yeah.
actually, the patients were grateful.
Yes, they
And
were.
some of the nurses that I work with to this day, Jenny the other night said, when you used to give report, oh, I said, Jenny, give me a break. I wanted to, you know, I listen.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and the best nurses I really appreciate would say, you didn't miss a thing. You know,
That's
you're
right.
watching these patients.
That's right.
But you're bringing in
You're-
all this other stuff.
I can imagine you're
Yeah.
highly observant.
Yeah, but I'm listening. I'm listening.
But you're, because if you're the trauma survivor
And you care.
part, yeah,
you
yeah,
really care.
you care and you're taking it all in and you're sorting and you know intuitively what to do and then you're doing it. You know, I
That
love.
saved me. I wouldn't have made it if I'd have thought about myself all that time and oh yeah, oh this and that, oh the nuns, oh the butter. Oh man, I'd be like, I'm tired of this shit. Quit whining. And no, seriously, you know how
Yeah.
many times can you loop that tape?
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Oh, I
wait a
can
minute.
do it a lot.
Yeah, no, but I'm like going, that's why
No,
you're
you're-
in a nun outfit because you kind of miss her, you know.
You put that on.
I didn't know nuns didn't wear panties, but my buddy told me, don't close your eyes, man. Don't. I'm like,
You put that on and take advantage of yourself.
yeah, right. When they're beating you, just that's the bright side.
I'm gonna look at the time because I feel like there's a sense in me that feels like, and I don't know how to button this up. You know, like how do we button it up? But there is a part of me.
Ain't no button.
No, there's no button up. This is
For
just
now.
this.
See you
Now
later.
this is part one. God, I look like my mother with this hair.
Oh, that's better.
God,
I look like my grandma.
I'm having.
No,
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say my
oh,
my.
thank God I don't look like my mother. Woman.
But what I just kind of wanted to carry a through line, which is, I mean, okay, what I loved what you said, I want to go back to one thing you were saying earlier about seeing a vision, like stop talking about it, see the vision and follow the vision. Like you did it. You went out there and started hitchhiking, and that saved you because you were like, okay, I don't have to just escape with a drug or alcohol. I can actually immerse in the real world. And then the medicine of creativity, the medicine of sharing stories, like it's so important. If people want to find, and you have a YouTube channel that is like off the charts, because what is your YouTube channel?
It's just Mike McCann, Yukon Rapids, Rapids, Rapids.
Okay.
Yeah, the kids put it together from Discovery, and it's taken off. It's fun.
This was taken off from when you were doing Yukon.
Part of the Yukon men, but then Tim came to Ireland with me, and then I just pitch. I work with an orphanage in Peru, and That video will kill you. But those kids, those kids.
You even get to talk about that.
No, you'll say. But if watch the YouTube because
Okay, go to your YouTube because
Yeah.
then you'll hear a lot of your different.
and they're short. Luckily, I bore myself to death. That's why I try to keep it short. And sometimes I get carried away. But no, it's fun, and it's fun sharing that because if people go, whoa, and here's the thing, and I talk about that vision and that dream. Have your dream, and it can be as crazy as you want it. And you don't have to tell anybody. That's your dream.
Yeah.
So tell them afterwards. Tell them. Well, I was thinking, like I said to my sister a couple of years ago, I'm going as far away as I can go where they don't speak English and they smile. I don't know where it is, but I end up down as Terra del Fuego or whatever it's called. And I'm like, wow, this is cool. Then I go to an Irish pub. Next thing I'm on a boat to Antarctica. I don't want to go to Antarctica. The best bunch of kids on this boat. And the next thing I'm like, holy cow, this is great. They wanted me to come from the hostel. You're coming with us. I'm like, no, I ain't. I'm not going. They got you a ticket. Anyway, so it gets crazier. So my vision was to go to South America, be around people that smile, and I don't know what they're talking about because I don't understand any. But it went to this, and then it went to the Fu River, then it went to Peru with the nuns, and it just doesn't stop. I just don't know if I can keep up with it because, I just.
Apparently you are.
So far, so good. Yeah, if I'm not having, I'm so lucky.
So you're still flying. You're still, yeah.
I'd be boxing, but he told me no boxing, no hockey.
Well, you were just in the hospital. Your heart stopped, and then
for a second, it got going again. But then they put the paddles to me with the AC/DC, and they burned the hair off my chest. And like,
now you're.
As soon as they gave me that Jackson relaxer, I call it the Propofol. I like that, man. I'm like, damn right, get a snooze. Anyway, so you want to zip this up for now?
I think we will. Okay. Mike McCann, find his book. Give me
the Hudson or the Yukon, and then the second one is Return to the River. And they're very short stories. If you can't sleep, they're really good. They'll put you right to sleep. And the pages tear out if you're at the outhouse and you're shooting on paper. Anyway, I was planning ahead, but no, it's some fun stuff about fun characters.
So much.
Thank you.
Yeah, this was incredible.
We've already burned up this machine now.
Well, I sure hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. I want to thank my guest, Mike McCann of Homer, Alaska, and of the world. Be sure and follow Mike McCann on YouTube and hear a collection of stories, but also get his books, Give Me the Hudson or the Yukon, also Return to the River. Oh, I will put links in the show notes to some of the books referenced, Mike's books, as well as the other books that were talked about, The Power of Awe and Black Elk Speaks, Shakti Gawain, Living in the Light, Blink. So look in the show notes and live your best life. Thank you. I want to thank the listener. Thank you for being part of this co-healing journey that we're all on this magical planet. I want to thank my son, Nathaniel Norton, for the music, Loop for Traumedy. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me through my website, nancynorton.tv. That's Nancy Norton, NancyNorton.tv, like television. And as always, no matter what, keep laughing.
Traumedy is not a replacement for trauma therapy, but it may help you get by between sessions.